Thank you. Well, thank you very much. Thank you. And a very special hello, Kentucky. I love Kentucky. I love Kentucky. We won in a landslide. We won by so much. We have the all-time record in this state. But it's great to be back in this beautiful Commonwealth with so many proud, hardworking, unbelievable American patriots. Thank you. And we're here today with the men and women of a phenomenal company that has been helping Kentucky grow and prosper for 6 incredible decades. In other words, they've been here for a long time. Verst Logistics. Verst Logistics. Good company. Just met a lot of the people that run it. They're good people. They love you. They love you, actually. If they didn't, I wouldn't be here, probably. I don't think I'd be here. If they didn't love you, I'd walk off this stage right now. With your help, this family-owned business has risen from a small trucking operation into a juggernaut of warehousing, packaging, one of the biggest, transportation, all these big labels they put on. But I'll tell you, America's favorite brands right here, and this has been an unbelievable group of people that built this wonderful company, and I want to thank them very much. It's an honor to be here. And like the people of Kentucky, you do it with skill and precision and pride, using equipment stamped with those beautiful words, made in the USA. Do you remember? Made in the USA. We're putting it all over the place. And we're making more and more things in the USA, more than we ever had. More people are working today in the USA than at any time in the history of our country. And by the way, do we have a great military? The best. Better than any military in the world by far. I didn't know that we're going to have to be showing it off so much, to be honest with you. I built it. In my first term, we built this military, and I didn't know that we'd have to use it quite as much as we're using it, but we're using it well, and there's no better military. There's nobody even close, so we're very proud of it. So we have in this company 2,600 employees, and they pour out their sweat and their soul into shipping the products America knows and loves, and they're doing more business than they've ever done before. And thanks to the record-setting tax cuts that we passed in the great, big, beautiful bill, biggest tax cuts in the history of our country, tax cuts. You know, as I grew up, I'd watch politicians, and I'd always hear that, we're going to cut your taxes, cut your taxes. This is the first group of opponents. It's the first group, the Democrats. They're always saying, we're going to raise your taxes. Historically, a politician has to. Ideally, you're going to follow through. But you have to say, we're cutting taxes. They say, we're going to raise that. They were going to give you, if they won, Kamala and Joe, Sleepy Joe. But they were going to raise your taxes more than any. It was the biggest tax increase in the history of our country. And I kept saying, are they really saying this? I don't know. What do I know about politics? I haven't been doing it that long. But they were going to give you the biggest tax cut. And now again, the midterms are coming. They want to raise your taxes higher than you've ever had before. We have to win. The midterms are going to be very, very important to keep it going. But thanks to the tax cuts, which are record-setting, we passed the great, big, beautiful bill. And I'm pleased to report that Verst Logistics is investing more than $10 million into expanding its operations this year, right here, $10 million. And you're buying brand new tractor trailers and opening up warehouses in 2 additional states, Texas and North Carolina. And that's what it's all about. And that's why we did it. And with the help of our tax cuts, all of those trucks and warehouses and equipment purchases, everything that we're doing, and everything that you see in this country that's being built, you get what's called expensing, meaning a deduction in the first year. 1 year, it's the bit. Now, to a lot of people, that doesn't mean. To me, it means something else. It means jobs. That's why we have so many jobs, the best jobs ever. Perhaps most importantly to the workers here today, I'm pleased to report that the great big beautiful bill also delivers no tax on overtime. Whoever thought that was going to happen? That means every extra hour you work, your overtime pay is now 100% tax-free. You have no tax. Remember that when you go and vote, because the Democrats want to end it. So you take home 20 or 30% more to those beautiful children or whoever the hell you're bringing it home to, okay? I don't know who you're bringing it home to. I don't want to know. That's not my business, although it could be interesting. After so many years of politicians who sold out the working men and women of our country, we finally have a president who puts American workers first. With us today are the front row Joes. You know, they have followed me. What are you up to, about 350 rallies, right? 350 rallies. I don't know what the hell they do. I don't know where they get their money, but they follow me a lot. We have a lot of people. They follow, just like a tour, but they're front row Joes. They're like professionals at getting on the front row. Thank you. And there's a lot of them, too. Thank you very much. Great honor. So a short time ago, under a man named Sleepy Joe Biden, has anyone heard of him? Has anyone heard of him? How about Barack Hussein Obama? He went to Jesse Jackson's funeral. He spoke, and it was like a political hit job. And the family of Jesse Jackson got angry as hell at him because they understand they hated each other. You know, he was there. But I loved watching that. That was so. The family goes outside and they start screaming at him. A short time ago, under Biden and his allies in Congress, we were dead as a doornail. We were a dead country, I'll tell you, and it looked like we weren't going to come back. Now we have the hottest country anywhere in the world. This is the hottest country anywhere in the world. Most powerful military. The stock market has set 53 all-time record highs since the election, all time. And the typical American's 401k is up by almost $35,000 since I took office. And in 4 years, Joe Biden got less than $1 trillion of new investment into the United States. So think of this. $1 trillion over a period of much less, over a period of 4 years. We got $18 trillion. And Jake Paul knows what that means. $18 trillion in 11 months, because they haven't calculated the 12th month. So we have 18 trillion in 11 months. Say in a year, what difference does it make? Compared to substantially less than 1 trillion in 4 years. You would say they didn't do a good job, Jake. I didn't ask Jake who he voted for, but I don't think it was Kamala. No, I don't think so. I think your whole reputation would be shot if you said, oh, I voted for Kamala. That would be the end of your whole career, Jake. But here in the heartland of America, you're already seeing the results of what we've done. I just came from Thermo Fisher Scientific in Reading, Ohio, right across the way. The great American company that's investing $2 billion in domestic manufacturing, all because of what we've done with the tariffs and with the deductions and all of the other things that we've done. Ford Motor Company, and by the way, we have more jobs in terms of construction. We're building more factories now in this country than at any time in the history of our country. More factories are being built. And Ford Motor Company, a good old staple, has announced a $2 billion assembly plant in Louisville, Kentucky, which will support more than 2,200 Kentucky jobs. And I was with Ford the other day. I was in Detroit, and Bill Ford, the head of it, he had an advantage over everybody else in getting the job, but that's okay. He was born Ford, but he was showing me a plant that was built in like 1914, very old, one of the biggest plants in the country, but one of the oldest. And they were getting ready to shut it down a year and a half ago. And then he heard Trump was running, and he sort of said, let's wait. So they were getting ready to shut it down. It was on minimal time. It was just a question of time, but he said, let's wait. And he waited. And they just announced 2 weeks ago that they're now going to run 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, building the Ford 150. A big difference. It's a big difference. That's a big difference. You shut it down or you run 24 hours a day. And they're doing a good job. Apple, a great company, $2.5 billion to manufacture 100% of the glass for iPhones and Apple Watches right here in Kentucky factories, all being made in Kentucky. And Apple's spending $650 billion on new plants all over the United States. Think of that. Who the hell else could have done this? Nobody else. Nobody else. I say it kiddingly, but I'm actually not kidding. Nobody else could have. He's done a good job, Tim Cook, but $650 billion, think of it. And just 2 days ago, GE Aerospace, they're doing phenomenally, announced a $1 billion investment in American manufacturing, including $115 million right across the river in the Queen City, Cincinnati. I love Cincinnati. So jobs, factories, and new investments are pouring in as they do. We have added 70,000 new construction jobs in just a short period of time, including 8,000 brand new construction jobs in Kentucky. Okay? Kentucky. I love the way a real Kentuckian pronounces it, but if I do it, but I love Kentucky. More Americans are working today than any time in history, and that number is going to be, wait till you see the numbers by the end of the year. We did an excursion. You know what an excursion is? We had to take a little trip to get rid of some evil, very evil people. It should have been done for 47 years. They've been killing our people. 47 years. 47 years. And I can only say this. They were all prepared. They're very strong. You know, they're going to try and take over the whole Middle East. They were going to knock out Israel. They don't know what the hell hit them, right? They don't know what hit them. They got hit by the American military. They don't know. They say, what the hell is happening? They didn't expect anything like this. To bring down energy costs for American workers and families and businesses like this one, we ended the Green News scam. You know the scam? Greatest scam in American history. Well, maybe the election results of the second election were. I would say what was the greater scam, the Green News scam or the 2020 rigged election? I would say the 2020. I think the election. I think the election, but what difference? But the main thing is, we said, get out and vote. We're going to do it again, and we're going to make it too big to rig. And that's what we did. We got the highest vote in history. We didn't need that big. We made it too big to rig. We terminated the insane electric vehicle mandate where you were mandated. And I like electric cars. I think they're great. I like Elon. I said, Elon, look, not everybody wants an electric car. And I like him, and it's a great product, everything, but they have to have, we ended the mandate. We ended the mandate. Now you can have gasoline, you can have hybrid, you can have whatever the hell you want, you can have electric. They wanted you to buy an electric car by 2030. There's only one problem, you can't charge it. You ever see a charger? You're driving down the road, you're running a little low, and they say, electric charging plant 150 miles up the road. That's a bad feeling. And we massively increased production of American oil, natural gas, and clean, beautiful Kentucky coal. And we're not allowed, in the Trump administration, we're not allowed to use the word coal without preceding it with two words, clean, beautiful. We say clean, beautiful coal. And we had Doug Burgum the other day, Secretary of the Interior, who's great, and Chris Wright, Secretary of Energy. And they were giving a long speech on coal. And I tried to stop them. I was in the audience. They kept saying, clean, beautiful coal, clean, beautiful coal, clean, beautiful. And after about like 40 times, I said, wait a minute, just say coal. It's too much. It's too much. But it's clean, beautiful coal, and it's back, and it's roaring back. You know, it's interesting. China uses a lot of coal. China's very smart. They use coal. What they don't use much of, if at all, are windmills. So they make all the windmills, and they sell that garbage to us. Round and round it goes, keeps losing money. Every time it goes around, it loses $25. That's a lot, you know. And kills a lot of birds. Kills them all. You know, if you shoot a beautiful bald eagle, they put you in jail for 5 years. Windmills kill them by the thousands. Okay, figure that one out. Last year, I took action to save 74 coal power plants from crushing restrictions and regulations that were putting them out of business, that would have forced them to shut down, including 4 plants we saved right here in Kentucky. And some of the people that work at those plants are here with us now. It's very powerful, and it is now with modern equipment, clean, beautiful, but it's a very powerful fuel. It's very powerful. And if it wasn't, China and some of these other big behemoths would not be using it. They use it because it's powerful, very, very powerful. The wind, you know, you're watching television and you want to watch, and your beautiful wife, our First Lady, says, I'm sorry, darling, you can't watch tonight. The wind has gone down and we have... But I want to watch myself on television. I want to watch myself debate. She says, I'm sorry, darling, we have absolutely no energy. There's no wind tonight. What a scam. That's a pretty big scam. That's one of the top. I say that's a top 5. It's about 5 that are real beauties. I also announced a lease agreement for $1.5 billion of private sector uranium enrichment facility in Paducah. Paducah. And as we take decisive action to stop the threat posed by the terrorist regime in Iran with Operation Epic Fury. Is that a great name? Well, it's only good if you win. You know, you can only do. And we've won. Let me tell you, we've won. You know, you never like to say too early you won. We won. We won the bet. In the first hour, it was over. But we won. But they gave me a list of names at General. Sir, you can pick the name you'd like, sir. I said, the name of what? The name of the attack on Iran, sir. And they gave me like 20 names. And I'm like falling asleep. I didn't like any of them. Then I see Epic Fury. I said, I like that name. I like that name. And my administration, as you know better than anybody, is also working to keep the oil flowing. It's flowing all over. We knocked out, you know, they want to drop some mines. Very friendly people, mines, so boats blow up. And we knocked out as of, you know, every hour I have to change because they knock them out so fast. I've never seen anything. Think of it. They knocked out 54 ships. in 2 days. And they're real ships. In fact, I got angry at my people. I said, are they any good? Yeah, they're warships. I said, why the hell did we kill them? Why didn't we just capture them and use them in our Navy? They said they wouldn't have qualified for that. But I got a little upset with my people. I said, why do we have to knock them? And actually, one of my generals said, sir, it's a lot more fun doing it this way. But we knocked out 58 naval ships. We knocked out their Navy, okay? Let's put it that way. But they also knocked out the mine layers. They call them mine layers. They put mines in the water. Lovely job. Isn't that nice? Blow up ships. And we knocked out 31 of them. And you know, I was very proud of myself. I said, why did you use the weapon that we use on the drugs that come in by sea? Do you know that drugs by sea are down 98%? And I said, that's a hell of a weapon. And they said, well, give it a shot. It worked very well. We've knocked out, I think, 28 or 29, all of them, almost all of them. They'll all be gone. By the time I'm finished speaking, they'll be gone. These people work very fast. But I'm pleased to report that earlier today, the International Energy Agency agreed to coordinate the release of a record 400 million barrels of oil from various national petroleum reserves around the world, which will substantially reduce the oil prices as we end this threat to America and this threat to the world. We don't want to leave early, do we? We got to finish the job, right? Over the past 11 days, our military has virtually destroyed Iran. Tough country. Their Air Force is gone, totally gone. That took the better part of about 3 hours. They no longer have radar. They don't have anti-aircraft equipment. They don't have anything. Their missiles are down 90%. Their drones are down 85%. We're blowing up the factories where they're made left and right. And frankly, nobody has ever seen anything like it. Nobody's ever seen anything like what you're witnessing now, and that can include the original killing of Soleimani and al-Baghdadi, two of the worst killers in the world that I did, as well as Operation Midnight Hammer, where we totally obliterated Iran's nuclear potential. We obliterated it. They don't have nuclear potential. And then after Midnight Hammer, and then we left, we figured that'll be the end of them for a while. But they started again. That's why we got to finish it, right? We don't want to go back every 2 years. And that's because, you know, there'll be some day when you don't have me as president. You'll have perhaps you'll have a weak, pathetic person like we've had in the past, mostly all. Like Barack Hussein Obama, who signed one of the worst deals ever with Iran, where they were going to give up everything. Remember when he filled up a 757 with billions of dollars of cash and sent it to Iran? Billions. People forget that. That's when I realized the presidency is very powerful. When you could put over $1 billion in an airplane and fly it over and give it to a foreign country that's your enemy. How stupid was that? But that deal, the Iran nuclear deal, gave them the right to have a nuclear weapon as of 3 years ago. If I didn't terminate that deal, I terminated it very quickly. If I didn't terminate that deal, they would have had nuclear weapons, and this world would right now be a different place, much different place. Believe me. And then Biden, he came along. He had no clue. He didn't know what the hell he was doing. But what they did was incredible. Everything they did was wrong. Think of it. Afghanistan, Biden, Afghanistan. The most embarrassing day in the history of our country. Embarrassing. 13 dead, but hundreds and hundreds are dead from, I count both sides, you know, I do. I count both sides, sorry. But hundreds and hundreds of people dead. And instead of leaving from Bagram They fled. I hate to even say it. There's no reason. We were in there. I was the one, we're going to get out. We're going to get out with strength and dignity. We're pounding the hell out of them. They didn't like Donald Trump, the Taliban. They would do anything I asked them to do. You know that. And this guy comes in, left all the equipment behind. I said, every piece of equipment will be taken out with us. They said, no, it's better to leave the plane. I said, why is it better? Well, I think it's more cost efficient to leave the plane. No. You got a brand new fighter jet, $150 million. You give it a tank of gas, little jet fuel, and you fly it out. They said, sir, I think it's better to leave the plane. These are the exact opposite generals as we have now. Do we love General Raisin Cane? He's great. But oil prices are already coming back down, and it's going to come down, but we're not leaving until that job is finished, and it's going to be very fast. It's going to be very fast, but we're not going to count on having competent presidents. We have to assume we're going to have incompetent ones, like the one we had last time that couldn't walk off a stage. Remember? He'd finish with a speech. The speech would last about 2 minutes. People would come out, not many, like 2 people. And he'd be finished with the speech, and then he could never find his way off the platform. He'd look around over here. There's so many stairs. I have 4 sets of stairs on this platform. Usually they have at least that. He couldn't find, or walking up Air Force One. Now, I know the problem with this, it can happen. You could slip, I could slip. I came downstairs today that was soaking wet. It's a little rainy today. And I have steel stairs, and I'm saying, ay. But I do it very slowly. I grab that thing, because nobody cares if you set a speed record. The only thing I admired about Barack Hussein Obama, which was nothing actually, but the only thing is the way he bobbed down. Remember, he'd bob. Hey, you talk about unpresidential. He's bobbing. And I couldn't believe that he made it without at least a noticeable major fall. But Biden was the opposite. Biden couldn't even walk up the stairs. He fell 3 times walking up the. And the world watches that, and they don't like seeing it, although they actually do like seeing it, because they say, what the hell is going on? Or when he fell at the Air Force Academy, right? And the general was standing there, could have caught him, but he didn't want to drop the paper that he's holding in his hand. So Biden went down for the count. Now, we have a country now that's respected, and we don't play games, and we have the greatest military, and it's so nice to see. It's so nice to see. And they want to get back in office for the midterms, and you can't let them. Did you see that they went to Munich, right? You saw that, right? You saw Gavin Newsom. He admitted that Gavin Newsom. So I think his career is over, okay? Let's get off the teleprompter. Do you mind if I get off the teleprompter for a couple of minutes? Because this is, I have these great speechwriters. I drive them crazy because half of the time I'm not. But Gavin Newsom, in an interview, you have a doctor in the house, please? Doctor? Yeah, take your time, please. Take your time. We have all the time. These are great people. They wait so long, hours and hours. They're great people, right? We have all the time, right?